Hello, my name is Mark John Sternal, and you're watching Easy Rock Guitar DVD. In this video, we are going to start with simple one-finger rock guitar and gradually progress through basic power chords, riffs. We will progress to advanced rhythms. We'll start with easy guitar solos, and as we improve, we'll speed things up a bit to more challenging lead guitar parts. Let's take a 6-string open E note and learn how to adjust our amp settings for premium rock tone. The controls on this amp feature 2 channels. In most cases, the first channel is a clean guitar sound. Channel 2 is usually a distorted guitar sound. For this channel, the more gain you use, the heavier the guitar tone will be. For a common rock guitar tone, engage the overdrive and set it to 6 or 7. Next, we have the EQ or equalizer controlling the low, mid, and high frequencies. Let's put these at 12 o'clock, which means they are flat, not giving or taking away from the tone. In rock, it is typical to raise the bass a little to the number 7 marker and slightly boost the mids to 6 and treble just past the number 7 marker. Here's the open E, an E power chord, here's an open E chord. If your amp and guitar combination aren't giving you the tone you desire, you can insert a distortion pedal between your guitar and amp. Here, I'm using my amp set to the clean channel with the rock EQ setting that we just learned. For the distortion, I'm using a Carl Martin Plexitone. I have the boost set just before 10 o'clock. The level control is the same as volume, and you could adjust it to your liking. Just before 1 o'clock would be ideal. Tone is set to 3 o'clock, high gain to 1, and crunch is dialed in just past 10 o'clock. The use of a distortion pedal allows a lot more tonal possibilities, and it also allows us to easily switch from a clean tone to a dirty rhythm tone. The select button allows me to choose between 2 tones, high gain and crunch. And by engaging the boost, I have a slightly louder lead guitar tone. During each lesson, I'll use a general distorted tone for each description. During the practice tempos, I'll be adding more effects. To sound a little more depth, you might also want to add some chorus. Here, I'm using the Carl Martin Classic Chorus. During the guitar solos, I'll be adding a Carl Martin echo tone delay effect. The key of E dominates guitar and rock music. So let's start out by learning a basic structure for a rock guitar rhythm based in the key of E. Simply start with a downstroke on the open E note and let it ring out for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we'll switch to the 5th string open A note. Here I'll alternate to an upstroke and hold for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, we switch back to the open 6-string E note, pick with a downstroke for 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, then E again with an upstroke for 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a very simple structure, E, A, E, E. Since you're not holding any frets with your playing hand, you could use a technique called damping or muting to prevent any stray notes from ringing out on other strings. To do this, just lightly touch the strings you don't want to ring out. So when you play the 6th-string E note, you can lightly touch the 5th through 1st strings, and this will prevent unwanted notes from ringing out. This way, if you accidentally pick extra strings, they will be muted and you'll only hear the note you want, which is the open E. When you switch to the open 5th string A note, just move the damping technique down to the 4th string, and you could even bring your thumb around to mute the 6th string. With this muting technique, you could even strum all 6 strings, but you only hear the note you are allowing to ring out. Of course, you can also practice picking accurately so you don't hit any stray notes. Alright, so our first exercise was made with the beginner guitarist in mind. It is very simple, just E, A, E, E. Don't worry, as we discussed earlier, we are going to progress to a lot of advanced rock guitar playing, but for starters, let's keep things simple for our beginner viewers. Let's practice this rhythm at a slow tempo of 50 beats per minute, or 50 BPM. We'll play it twice, then move on to the next lesson. The last exercise taught us 3 beginner techniques. One was the basic rhythm structure for rock songs, E, A, E, E. Next was basic picking, and we also introduced the damping or muting technique to prevent unwanted notes. Here, we're going to introduce a quick change passing tone on the 6th string, 3rd fret G note. To play this note, simply place your index finger directly behind the 3rd fret wire on the 6th string. To help keep leverage, your thumb should be on the back of the neck, directly behind your index finger. Squeeze the 6th string and the guitar neck between your thumb and index finger, and pick the string, and you have a G note. Some problems that beginners often have is to hold the note too far up the neck. So if your finger is past the 3rd fret wire, you'll get a muted tone. Or if your finger is too far back away from the fret wire, you might not have enough finger strength to hold the note. So the easiest way to get a note to ring out is to make sure your finger is directly behind the fret you want to ring out, and squeeze it between that finger and your thumb. Now that we've learned the G note, we're going to add it to our E, A, E, E rhythm. Instead of holding E for 4 beats, we'll hold it for 2, 1, 2, then switch to G, 3, 4. The trick is to hold your thumb in place as if you were playing the G note, but lift your index finger so you could play the E, then easily switch to G. We're still using a 4 count, so play E for 1, 2, then G for 3, 4, then we change strings and play the open 5th string A note for 4 beats. Altogether, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This positioning also allows me to mute other strings, as in 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The second half of this rhythm takes us back to the 6th-string open E for counts 1 and 2, up to the 6th-string 3rd fret G for counts 3 and 4, then back to the 6th-string open E for 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you repeat the whole rhythm. Here's exercise 2, played twice with a practice tempo. Now we're going to expand on our open 6th-string E note, and we'll make it into an E5 power chord by adding the 5th string 2nd fret with the index finger. With this fingering in place, strum down on strings 6 and 5 together. You could practice strumming just the 6th and 5th strings. You could also mute the other strings in case you overstrum, which would prevent unwanted notes from ringing out. Just like the last exercise, we'll play the E power chord for counts 1 and 2, then the 6th-string 3rd fret G note for counts 3, 4, but this time we'll use our middle finger for the G note. So all together, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, switch to an A5 power chord by moving your index finger from the E5 down to the 4th string 2nd fret, and play that along with the 5th string open. Strum down on strings 5 and 4, and hold for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. So all together, we have E5, G to A5. I'm strumming down on E5, up on the G note, then down on A5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The second half of the rock rhythm is E5 to G, back to E5. Here's exercise 3, played twice with the tempo. Now let's combine exercises 1, 2, and 3 and play them together as our first rock song. First, we'll play it at a very slow beginner tempo, then again at a medium speed, and finally at a fast speed. If the medium tempo or fast speeds are too challenging for you, don't worry. Keep moving through the rest of this DVD, and by the time you have finished all of the lessons, you'll be able to play these faster sections with no problem at all. Here in section 2 of Easy Rock Guitar, we are going to establish a good sense of rhythm, or as you would call timing. We'll start with an E5 power chord, then play palm-muted notes in time with the drums. The palm mute technique is achieved by placing the edge of your palm against the string while picking it. For a heavy sounding mute, place your palm close to the bridge. To get brighter mutes, move your palm away from the bridge. In the first measure, we play an E5 power chord without a mute. Then, palm mute an open E by itself. Then place your middle finger on the 3rd fret G note and play it with a palm mute. Then again with a palm mute. To play in time with the drums, we are going to count out quarter notes, which receive 1 beat each. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first beat is an E5, which rings out. Then we apply the palm mute and play an E note for the second count. Then up to the 3rd fret and play G for the 3rd count, and G again for the 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. I recommend that you practice this rhythm 2 ways. One is with all downstrokes, which will give your palm mutes a heavier tone. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the other technique is to alternate your picking strokes. 1, 2, 3, 4. In the second measure, we switch to the A5 power chord, letting it ring out for the 1 count. Then we apply the palm mute technique to the 5th string and play a single A note for counts 2, 3, 4. Again, practice all downstrokes, 1, 2, 3, 4, as well as alternate picking. 1, 2, 3, 4. The second half of our rhythm starts out the same, playing an E5, palm mute an E, then palm mute G, G. But for the last measure, we'll play E5 and end with 3 palm muted open E notes. Here it is played twice with a slow practice tempo. Our next exercise introduces eighth notes. So far, we've been counting straight quarter notes, as in 1, 2, 3, 4. An eighth note divides a single beat into 2 pulses. So instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, we will now count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Start with an E5 power chord, then apply the palm mute and play an open E, E, E. Move up to the 3rd fret G note and play G, 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 G. So now we have 8 pulses in this measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Since this is a little quicker, it might be easier for beginner players to play using alternate picking strokes. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. For more advanced players, I definitely recommend learning to play both alternating as well as all downstrokes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. In the second measure, we switch to A5. Remember to lift the palm mute. Then after strumming the A5 power chord, apply the palm mute and play open 5th string A notes for the rest of the measure. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. For the second half of the rhythm, we play the same E5, then palm mute the E, G, then back to E, and palm muted E notes for the rest of the measure. All together, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Welcome to part 3 of Easy Rock Guitar, where we're going to incorporate some more advanced techniques and fingerings. For example, we'll start off with our E5 rhythm from the previous lessons, But when we switch to the G note, we're going to give it a slight bend. Play the note like you normally would, but pull down on the string to slightly raise the pitch. When you do this, it is important to keep your middle finger in contact with the string and keep it pressed against the fretboard as you bend. Then switch to the A5 chord that we previously learned. So all together, you have E5, G bend to A5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The second half of our rhythm teaches the vibrato technique. Start off with the E5 for counts 1 and 2. Switch to the G note, but this time, while holding the note, rapidly rotate your wrist. This vibrato technique will lightly raise and return the pitch of the G note. So continue the vibrato for counts 3 and 4, then return to the E5. But only allow the E5 to ring out for the first count. 1, then mute for 2, 3, 4. To achieve this mute, you could simply lay your fingers across all 6 strings. So altogether, the second half is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. When you mute the strings, be sure not to press them against the frets. Just touch them lightly enough to mute them. If you press too hard, you'll sound unwanted notes. You could also mute the strings with your picking hand. Strum the E5 for the first count, then lay the palm of your hand across the strings to silence them for counts 2, 3, 4. Here's section 3, exercise 1 at a slow tempo of 55 beats per minute or 55 BPM. Following the same structure as the previous exercise, here we start with an E5 to a 3rd fret G note with a slight bend, then the A5, and a change-up which has us playing the 4th string open along with the 3rd string's 2nd fret with your index finger. These 2 notes together make a D5 power chord. Just strum strings 4 and 3. Altogether, we have a quick-paced ascending rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. For the second half, we walk up from E5, G with a bend, to A5, then descend in pitch to E5 and mute. The count is E5 for 1, 2, G for 3, 4. The next measure is A5 for 1, 2, E for 3, and mute for 4. Here it is with the tempo. Our next exercise has us strumming 8th notes. In our sheet music, we see 2 E5 chords, Strum down for the 1 count, strum up for the and count. 1 and. Next, we'll mute the string for the 2 count, then play G with vibrato for 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. Then switch to a double A5 for counts 1 and, strumming down and up, then mute for the 2 count, switch to our D5, but we're going to add the 2nd string 3rd fret with the middle finger for an extended D5 power chord. This is still a D5, but with an added octave D note, which makes it sound fuller. So for the 2nd measure, we have double A5, mute to an extended D5. 1 and 2, 3, 4. All together, starting with E5, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. The 2nd half starts out the same with double E5, mute to G with vibrato. For the end, we have double A5. Then in place of a G note, we're going to play a G5 power chord. Place your middle finger on the 6th string 3rd fret and angle your finger so the bottom skin lightly touches the 5th string, causing it to mute. But make sure it does not touch the 4th string or the 3rd string, because you want the 4th and 3rd string to ring out open. With this fingering in place, strum down on strings 6, 5, 4, and 3. Then switch from this G5 to our E5 power chord. Then mute. Starting with the A5, the count is 1 and, switch to G5 for 2, E5 for 3, and mute for 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. Let's run through it a couple times with the tempo. In this next exercise, we'll introduce some scale notes in the form of guitar riffs. Start with the E5, mute, then G with vibrato. Next, we'll play an ascending guitar riff. Keeping it simple at first, we'll start on the 5th string open A note, to the 2nd fret B with the index finger. Next is the 4th string open D note, to the 2nd fret E with the index. This will be our ascending rhythm riff. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, we'll play the same E progression for the 1st half, and follow it up with a descending riff, starting on the 4th string 2nd fret E note with the index, drop down to the open D, then the 5th string playing a 2nd fret B with the index, then play open A. For section 3, exercise 5, we're starting on the double A5, then a mute, and to change things up, we'll play the 5th string 2nd fret B with our index finger and add vibrato. Again, this popular technique is achieved by rotating your wrist while keeping finger pressure on the string, allowing it to ring out while you raise and return the pitch of the B note. count is 1 and 2, 3, 4. Next, we play an ascending riff on the 4th string open D, 2nd fret E with the index, to the 3rd string open G note, then an octave A on the 3rd string 2nd fret with the index. When you hear the term octave, it simply means a note that is doubled in pitch. For example, earlier we learned that the 6th string open is an E note. Then, as lessons progressed, we found that there was another E note on the 4th string 2nd fret. It is exactly double the pitch or frequency of the 6th string E. You can also look at the lower E note as half the pitch or frequency of the 4th string E. Either way, you have a lower octave E and a higher octave E. As we progress, you'll see that there are several octaves for every note. Back to our rhythm, we have the double A5, mute, then a 5th string 2nd fret B with vibrato, then ascend with the scale riff D, E, G, A. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, we double up on the extended D5, mute, then D5 again. The count is 1 and 2, 3, 4. This is followed by a descending scale run, starting on the 1st string, 3rd fret with the middle. This is now a 2nd octave G note, followed by an open E on the 1st string. Switch to the 2nd string, 3rd fret for an octave D note, played with the middle finger, and drop down to the 2nd string, octave B note. To wrap up this exercise, we are going to play a faster scale run, starting on the 3rd string, 2nd fret A with the index finger, to the open G. On the 4th string, play a 2nd fret E, to an open D. On the 5th string, play a 2nd fret B, to an open A. So far, all of these notes will be counted as 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and, then we'll switch back to a single beat for the 4 count, playing a 6th string 3rd fret G note with a slight bend. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then end on an extended E5 power chord. There are 2 ways you can play this. It starts the same as our previous E5 with the 6th string open, along with the 5th string 2nd fret with our index finger. But to extend the chord, we will add the 4th string 2nd fret octave E note, which can be played with your middle finger, or you could hold the 5th and 4th string notes with your index finger by barring across the 2nd fret. It's up to you to decide which you prefer. With these fingers in place, strum string 6, 5, and 4. A common technique in rock music is to make it sound like you have ended a song, or a section of the song, then add another ending or an end tag. So if the last exercise sounded like it could have been an end to the song or section of the song, this next exercise will serve as an example of an end tag. Here we'll start with the extended D5 power chord, double, then mute, then strum and hold. Then, using 8th notes, play the 1st string 3rd fret with the middle finger, then open, to 2nd string 3rd fret, then open. On the 3rd string, play the 2nd fret with the index finger, then open. And the 4th string 2nd, then open. So we have double D5, mute, D5, then descending scale run, 3, open, 3, open, 2, open, 2, open. The count is 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Next, we introduce a new power chord. This is a fretted B5 power chord. Play the 5th string, 2nd fret with your index, along with the 4th string, 4th fret with your ring finger, and add the 3rd string, 4th fret with your pinky. With these fingers in place, strum strings 5, 4, and 3. If this extended B5 is giving you trouble, you could cheat and just play strings 5 and 4 together. But eventually, you should work on strengthening up your pinky so you can play the extended version. This B5 is going to ring out for 4 full beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we'll continue our descending scale run. Starting on the 2nd string, play the 3rd fret with the middle to open, 3rd string 2nd fret with the index to open, 4th string 2nd to open, then hold the 5th string 2nd fret with a slight bend. The count is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, then end on an extended A5 power chord, which adds the 3rd string 2nd fret to our previous A5 chord. You could add this note with the middle finger, or you could bar the 4th and 3rd strings with the index finger across the 2nd fret. This A5 is held for 4 beats. Altogether, the count is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. To wrap up our end tag, we continue with the descending scale run, starting on the 3rd string, 2nd fret to open. On the 4th string, play 2nd fret to open. 5th string, 2nd to open. Then play a 6th string, 3rd fret G with a slight bend. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Play an extended E5 for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then end with a double E5 and mute. Let's put the end tag together with a tempo. Now, let's put all of the exercises from section 3 together and play them in order as our 3rd rock song. We'll start at a slow tempo, then medium, and wrap things up with a fast version. To close up section 3 of Easy Rock Guitar, we added some scale notes to our rhythm guitar parts and used the scale as lead guitar riffs. You may have noticed that each scale note was also used as a power chord. The scale we used in this section is the E minor pentatonic scale, made up of the notes E, G, A, B, and D. Then it repeats with the octave E to G, A, B, D, then another octave E, then G. Scale notes complement each other musically, which means you could use scale notes together to create riffs and lead guitar runs. You can also use each scale note as a chord, which we have been doing so far with the E5, G5, A5, B5, and D5 power chords. Knowing this minor pentatonic scale and the power chords derived from it allows us to write songs in the key of E. Here's an exercise playing the E minor pentatonic scale ascending, then descending, followed by each power chord derived from the scale. For section 4 of Easy Rock Guitar, we will be using major pentatonic scales along with power chords. Starting with the E major pentatonic on the 6th string open, to F sharp on the 2nd fret with the index, then G sharp on the 4th fret with the ring. To keep the scale flowing, play the B note on the 5th string 2nd fret with the index, then C sharp on the 4th fret with the ring, and end on the 4th string 2nd fret octave E with the index. For the first half of our rhythm, we'll start with the extended E5 power chord, then follow up with the rest of the scale: F sharp, G sharp, B, C sharp, E. The count is 1, 2, and 3, and 4. For the second half, play E5, then descend from the octave E to C sharp, B, to G sharp, F sharp. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. I recommend playing the E5 with the finger bar across the 2nd fret of the 5th and 4th string. This will allow you to easily switch from the chord to the scale. Let's practice this with the tempo. Next, we are switching to A5, played with an A major pentatonic scale. The scale by itself is 5th string open A, to B on the 2nd fret, C sharp on the 4th fret, 4th string is E on the 2nd, F sharp on the 4th fret, and end on the 3rd string 2nd fret octave A. We'll play this with the same fingering and rhythm as the previous exercise. A5, followed by the ascending A major pentatonic scale notes. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Then A5, and a descending, and that's 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And as you can see here, I'm also using the extended A5, so we're adding the 3rd string 2nd fret along to the A5 chord that we previously played. play it with the practice tempo. Now we'll combine the E and A parts as a chord progression, playing the E section twice, followed by the A rhythm and another E rhythm. The last exercise had us rotating between E and A rhythms. In many examples, a song will go back and forth like this as long as it needs to accommodate lyrics or a solo section. When the song needs a break or a resolution, we have a turnaround. The exercise here is based off of a B major pentatonic scale. B, as we know, is on the 5th string 2nd fret, which we will play with the index finger. Then move the index finger up to the C sharp on the 4th fret. Next is ring on the 5th string 6th fret for a D sharp note. This puts us in place to switch to the 4th string 4th fret F sharp note with the index finger, to the 6th fret G sharp with the ring, and end on the 3rd string 4th fret octave B note. Altogether, the B major pentatonic scale is B, C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, B. For our rhythm, we'll play this with the B5 power chord, followed by the remaining scale notes. That's 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Since this is a turnaround or a break in the song, instead of playing a descending run in the key of B, we will switch to the first half of the A rhythm. Let's practice this section with the tempo. As an end tag for this section, we'll play E5, followed by the ascending major scale run. But in the second measure, we see a lead guitar section that mixes up the scale notes a little. Descending, starting with the E on the 4th string 2nd fret, to the 5th string C sharp on the 4th fret, to B on the 2nd. Back to C sharp, B, to the 6th string G sharp on the 4th fret, F sharp on the 2nd, back up to G sharp on the 4th fret, and ultimately end the section with an E5 power chord. The count is 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the whole song combined with a tempo. If you play the E minor pentatonic scale and compare it to the E major pentatonic scale, you'll probably notice some notes the two have in common, and some that don't. It's very common in rock music to combine the two scales, in which case we'll start with E to the 2nd fret F sharp with the index, 3rd fret G with the middle, and 4th fret G sharp with the ring. Switching to the 5th string, we'll play B on the 2nd fret with the index, to C sharp, then end on E. For our rhythm, we'll start with the E5, then mute, then skip right to the 3rd fret G, to G sharp, to the 5th string B, to C sharp, then E. Here, we will also introduce the hammer-on. So back up to the G note, and you see a curved line above the G to G sharp. This tells you to use the hammer-on technique, which means you will pick the G note, but hammer your ring finger to the 4th fret to produce the G sharp note without picking. Again, pick G and hammer to G sharp without picking. Then switch to the 5th string B, picking B and hammer to C sharp, sounding it without picking, and end on the octave E. The count is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. The second half of the E rhythm introduces the pull-off technique, which is the opposite of the hammer-on. First we play E5, then mute, then the octave E on the 4th string 2nd fret to the 5th string C sharp. Play this with your ring finger on the 4th fret and pull off to the B note, played with your index finger on the 2nd fret. To apply the pull-off technique, you need both fingers in place, then pull your ring finger away from the fretboard at a 45-degree angle, as if you were snapping the string away from the fretboard to produce the pitch of the 2nd fret, which is held by your index finger. So altogether, we have E5, mute to the octave E, then C sharp, pull off to B, and to end, play the 6th string, 4th fret G sharp, G, then F sharp. The count for the descending rhythm is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And when you put it all together, we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's practice it a couple times with a tempo of 60 BPM. For the A rhythm, we'll apply the same pattern. So play A5 and mute to the 5th string 3rd fret, hammer to 4, to the 4th string 2nd fret, hammer to 4, and on the 3rd string 2nd fret. To return, play A5 and mute, 3rd string 2nd fret, and 4th string 4, pull to the 2nd fret, to the 5th string 4, 3, 2. For the practice tempo, we'll play this A rhythm once, followed by the E rhythm. For the turnaround, we'll start with the B5 and mute, then place your ring finger on the 5th string, 5th fret, and slide up 1 fret to end on the 6th fret. The slide technique is achieved by keeping pressure on a string, making sure you hold it against the fretboard while sliding up or down the neck. Again, we start with the B5, mute, to the 5th string, 5th fret, slide to 6. That's with the ring finger, which puts our index finger in place to play the 4th string, 4th fret with the index. Hammer to 6 with the ring, to 3rd string, 4. Drop down to A5, mute, then play the descending scale run from the 2nd half of the A rhythm. For the end tag, we'll play E5 and mute, then F sharp on the 2nd fret with the index, hammer to the 3rd fret G with the middle, hammer again to the 4th fret G sharp with the ring, then play the 5th string, 2nd fret B with the index. From here, we'll walk down on the 6th string, 4th fret, 3, 2, then end on an E5 power chord. This rhythm uses triplets, which break each beat into 3 pulses. So instead of counting quarter notes, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, triplets are counted 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. The count for this end tag rhythm is 1 and 2 and a, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's move our chords and scales higher up the neck. For example, we have another E5 power chord. It's on the 5th string 7th fret with the index, 4th string 9th fret with the ring, and 3rd string 9th fret with the pinky. From here, we have an E minor pentatonic on the 5th string 7 to 10, 4th string 7 to 9, and 3rd string 7 to 9. There's also an E major pentatonic in this position on the 5th string 7, 9, 11, to 4th string 9, 11, and 3rd string 9. As we did with the previous section, we're going to combine minor and major scale notes to give a universal rock feel. Start with the octave E5 power chord, strum down then up, then move your middle finger up to the 5th string 10th fret, pick and hammer your ring finger to the 11th fret, switch to the 4th string 9th fret with the index, and hammer your ring to 11, then end on the 3rd string 9th fret octave E. This exercise requires us to count 16th notes, which break each beat into 4 pulses. In the past, we've had quarter notes, counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Triplets, 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. And to break each beat into 4 pulses, 16th notes are counted 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. For our E rhythm, we count 1 and 2E and a, 3, 4. The second half of the rhythm starts with the double E5, then the 3rd string 11th fret, pull off to 9, to the 4th string 11, pull to 9, to the 5th string 11, 10, 9. The count is 1 and 2E and a, 3 and 4. Here's the E rhythm played twice with the tempo. For the A rhythm, we drop down to an A5 power chord on the 6th string 5th fret with the index, 5th string 7th fret with the ring, and 4th string 7th fret with the pinky. Start by strumming twice. The riff combines our A major and minor pentatonic scales, starting on the 6th string 8th fret with the middle, hammer to 9 with the ring, to the 5th string 7 with the index, hammer to 9, and end on the 4th string 7. The second half of the rhythm starts with a double A5 to the 4th string 9 with the ring and pull to the 7th fret with the index finger, to the 5th string 9, pull off to 7, then a walk down on the 6th string 9, 8, 7. The count is 1 and 2E and a, 3, 4, 1 and 2E and a, 3 and 4. Here's a practice tempo playing the A rhythm followed by the E rhythm. Next, we'll move to a new B5 position on the 6th string 7th fret, along with the 5th string 9 and the 4th string 9. Strum twice, then move your middle finger up to the 6th string 10th fret and hammer to 11, to the 5th string 9 with the index, hammer to 11, and end on the 4th string 9. Then we'll play a descending run for the second half. Start with the double B5, then ring finger to the 4th string 11, pull to 9, to the 5th string 11, pull to 9, and a walk down on the 6th string 11, 10, 9. Altogether, 1 and 2E and a, 3, 4, 1 and 2E and a, 3 and 4. Here's a practice tempo playing the B turnaround rhythm followed by the A rhythm. The end tag starts with the first half of the E rhythm, played the same as before, E5, and an ascending run. Next, we add a lead guitar part for the end. 3rd string ring finger on 11 pull off to 9, held with the index, to the 4th string 11 with the ring, back to the 3rd string 9. Next is basically the same thing, but move everything up 1 string, so we're on the 4th string 11 pull to 9, to 5th string 11, back to 4th string 9. We wrap things up on the 5th string, 10th fret with the middle, hammer to 11, to the 4th string 9 with the index, hammer to 11, and end on the 3rd string 9, and let it ring out with vibrato. The rhythm combines triplets, 16th notes, and 8th notes. 1 and a 2e and a 3 and 4e and a 1, 2, 3, 4. It might be easier to listen closely a few times and get the feel for this riff rather than trying to count it out. First, let's practice our end tag with the tempo, then we'll put the whole song together. For section 7, we're going to construct a song using common elements found in rock music, such as a main riff, verse, and chorus. And later, we will be adding a lead guitar solo to this section. For the main riff, we'll drop down to our open E5 power chord, barring the 5th and 4th strings, 2nd fret notes with your index finger. Strum down, then up, then down on a single 6-string open E note with a palmute. After the palmute, strum up on an open G5 power chord. So far, we have E, E, palm mute, G. 1 E and A. It is going to be very important to get the correct strumming patterns down, so be sure to strum down, up on E5, down on the palm mute, and up on G5. Next is another palm mute with a downstroke on an open E note, up on an A5, another palm mute with a downstroke, then up on an open D5. So for this first half of our main riff, we have double E5, palm mute, G5, palm mute, A5, palm mute, D5. The proper strumming pattern is down, up on E5, down on the palm mute, up on G5, down on the palm mute, up on A5, down on the palm mute, up on D5. The rhythm is 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3, 4. The second half of the rhythm starts out on double E5, strummed down and up, and down on an open E palm mute, strum up on D5, 1 E and A, down on an E palm mute, up on A5, another downstroke palm mute, then up on G5. 2 E and A, down on a palm mute, up on E5. 3 E and A, 4 E and A. Here's the main riff with a slow practice tempo. The verse is very simple, playing only E5 power chords. The reason for this simplicity is to allow freedom for vocals, a guitar solo, or other solo instrument to explore more melodic riffs or intricate rhythms. Here, we're playing a 5th string E5 power chord based on the 7th fret, strum and hold for 2 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because this is an E5, feel free to hit open E notes along with it. So when you strum, you might also include the open 6th string to fatten up the chord. Next, we move up to the 6th string octave E position. 6th string 12th fret with the index, ring on the 5th string 14, and pinky on the 4th string 14. Strum and gradually slide down the neck. Then play an open E5, and again each chord is held for 2 beats. So back up to the 12th fret, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. This section will make up the verse. Here's a practice tempo. The chorus puts this song in full gear with a steady 16th note rhythm. Strum down up on E5, down on a palm muted E, strum up on G5, then down on a muted string. To do this, release pressure on the G note, but still keep your finger in contact with the string while you pick downward. Then up on A5, then down up on open strings 5 through 2. Next, you see a repeat symbol. So we have E5, E5, single E note, G5, muted note, A5, open strings, open strings. Then the sheet music repeats. The count is 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Now let's put all the parts together. We'll start playing the main riff twice, one verse, one chorus. To end, we'll play the verse once and the main riff twice. Now let's learn the octave of our E minor pentatonic scale. Use your index finger for all 12th fret notes, starting on the 6th string 12th fret E, to the 15th fret G note with the ring finger, next to the 5th string 12th fret A, to the 14th fret B note with the ring, next is the 4th string 12th fret D, to the 14th fret E, the 3rd string 12th fret G, to the 14th fret A, to the 2nd string 12th fret B and 15th fret D, and the 1st string 12th fret E and 15th fret G. To get used to playing lead guitar with this scale, we are going to use it over the main riff from Song 7. In the first half of the exercise, we're going to play the scale ascending over the first part of the rhythm guitar. Here we'll use 16th notes starting on the 6th string 12th fret E and play the scale up to the A note on the 3rd string 14th fret. The count is 1 E and a 2 E and a 3, 4, plus add some vibrato to the A note. For the second half of the rhythm guitar's main riff, we'll play a descending scale run from the 1st string 15th fret, which is a G note, down to the 4th string 12th fret. It's a D note, but then we'll go back up to the 14th fret E to match the chord and add vibrato. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4 and. Here it is with the tempo. To start off our advanced guitar solo, we'll palm mute the E minor pentatonic scale, starting on the 5th string 7th fret with the index, to the 10th fret with the pinky, to the 4th string 7, 9 with the ring, and bar the ring finger so we can easily switch to the 3rd string 9th fret, then back to the 4th string 9th fret, and end on the 3rd string 7 with the index and vibrato. All the notes are palm muted except the last note. For the second half, we'll slide up to the 2nd string 15th fret with the ring and heavy vibrato, down to the 12th fret with vibrato, to the 3rd string 14 with vibrato, and back to the 2nd string 12 with vibrato. Here it is played along with the main riff at a slow practice tempo. We're going to play a triplet lead section over the verse. Here, you want to bar your index finger across the 12th fret of strings 1 and 2. But start with your ring finger on the 1st string 15th fret, pull off to the 1st string 12 to sound it without picking, then play the 2nd string 12th fret. This is repeated with a triplet rhythm. 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. In the second measure, play this again for count 1 and a, and play the 2nd string 15 to 1st string 12, back to 2nd string 15, and add vibrato. When the chorus kicks in, we will match the rhythm with a 16th note lead guitar riff. Barring the 12th fret of strings 1 and 2, start with the 1st string 15th fret, pull to 12, then 2nd string 15, pull to 12. This is repeated 4 times counting 16th notes. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Next is a descending 16th note scale run. 1st string 15, pull to 12. 2nd string 15, pull to 12. Repeat the 2nd string 15, pull to 12. And switch to the 3rd string 14, pull to 12. Repeat the third string, 14, pull to 12, and switch to the fourth string, 14 to 12, that's a pull off. Then end with the fourth string, 14 pull to 12, to the fifth string, 14 pull to 12. This fits in perfect with the 16th note rhythm. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Part 3 of our solo had us play a descending 16th note run. So in traditional rock fashion, in Part 4 of our solo, we will counter with an ascending scale run, but this time counting triplets and using a palm mute. Start on the 5th string 12, 14 to 4th string 12, back to the 5th string 14 to 4th string 12, 14, back to 12, 14, up to the 3rd string 12, back to the 4th string 14, to 3rd string 12, 14, and that'll end the triplet run. 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. In the second measure, release the palm mute and pick the 3rd string 14 with vibrato, then 14 with a bend. To achieve this, bend with your ring finger, but allow your middle and maybe even your index to assist with the bend. This is a full bend, so you want it to match the pitch 2 frets higher than what you are actually playing. So we want to bend this 14th fret note high enough so that it matches the pitch of the 16th fret. Hold this bend, then pick the string again and release the bend. We'll end our guitar solo over the main riff of our rhythm. Since we played a lot of fast notes earlier, here we will slow things down to give the feel of a break or an ending. Start on the 2nd string 12, then 15, then pre-bend 15 without picking. Once you have the bend in place, pick the string and release the bend. This will complement the ascending part of the main riff. For the descending rhythm, we'll bar the 12th fret of strings 1 and 2 and pull off the 1st string 15 to 12 to the 2nd string 12. Next, we'll walk up the 2nd string 15, 16, 17 with vibrato to end on an E note, then eventually slide down the neck. That wraps up Easy Rock Guitar DVD. We've covered a lot of ground, but there's still a lot that you could learn to expand on your guitar playing skills. In Easy Rock Guitar DVD, we use the major and minor pentatonic scales. There are many other scales that can be used to enhance your guitar playing, and many different tricks, techniques, and patterns that can be applied to these scales. To learn more about scales and techniques, check out our best-selling Total Scales, Techniques, and Applications. This DVD will show you how to apply all of the tricks and techniques used by the pros to create awesome guitar solos. Or, if you would just like to learn quick, basic scales in one position, check out Easy Guitar Scales DVD. Either one will have you playing a ton of scales. Get Total Scales for complete fretboard mastery, or Easy Scales to learn basic root to octave positions. Both titles teach over 50 different scales. Easy Rock kept things simple by teaching you only power chords. There are many other chords you can learn. We recommend Easy Guitar Chords DVD to get you started. Another great learning tool is Easy Caged Guitar DVD, which shows you scales and associated chords mapped out on the entire fretboard. Be on the lookout for other titles in the MJS Easy DVD series, from blues to rock and metal to country, whammy bar, fingerpicking, slide guitar, and more. Finally, no guitarist is complete without a good dose of music theory. Easy Rock Guitar DVD teaches you to play using tab, but it does so by keeping things very simple. If you would like to understand more about musical notes and how they interact with each other, then we highly recommend Easy Guitar Theory DVD. This will give you a world of insight into understanding, reading, and writing music and how it is applied to the guitar. Also, many of our titles are available for bass guitar, so if you're starting a band or jamming with other musicians, you can make amazing progress by using our bass and guitar titles together. I'm Mark John Sternal, and I'd like to thank you for hanging out with me and learning some easy rock guitar.